He is a member of the House Transportation Infrastructure Committee and Vice Chair of the House Financial Services Committee. Thank you for being here, Congressman. Let's just start off here. Do you think President Biden needs to do more to push our European allies for a full-blown embargo on Russian oil and gas, seeing what we're seeing on the ground there with these horrific atrocities and war crimes?
Thanks for having me on. We do need a global blockade on Russian energy exports. Right now, Russia is on track to make more than $300 billion this year from its energy exports to fund its barbaric war machine, one that's committing war crimes in Ukraine. And as it pivots to the east, as we see an impending battle for Sloviansk, it is more critical than ever that we cut off its most crucial source of hard currency. That means levying secondary sanctions on countries that are transacting with the Kremlin, first and foremost China. China, for decades, has asserted that it's a great nation, that it should be treated as a superpower. But great nations don't look the other way when atrocities are being committed. Great nations don't sit on the sidelines at historic moments. And China needs to face consequences if it's going to fund the Russian war machine.
Okay, on top of that, you know, when you're talking about China enforcing this blockade, what do you think the president should do? Should he have a conversation with China and say, right, you know, what kind of sanctions are you talking about? We're dealing with a situation here where inflation is up, obviously, across the board. You're talking about an oil and gas blockade, which will surely probably increase energy costs across the globe. Are you willing, are the Democrats willing to take that kind of a hit right now, to do that, to impose that kind of financial pain on Europeans and Americans to get this done in Ukraine?
We know that we need to get to energy independence as a nation, to clean energy independence. It's now or later. And we are the generation that's going to make it happen. And this moment of an unjust, unprovoked invasion of a sovereign nation is the clarion call for us to act. That means coordinating a global embargo on Russian energy exports for oil in particular, which is by far their most important source of hard currency. And so, yes, we need to impose secondary sanctions on any nations that are transacting with Russia. Secondarily, though, the other critical element here is going to be speed of action in Ukraine. The reason that Ukrainian forces have been so successful over the last 6 weeks is not just the uncommon valor of their fighting forces, but the speed with which they have been able to act on new developments. And that has demoralized Russian forces. We need to continue to propel that speed and that ferocity of action in Ukraine with paramilitary support, with intelligence support, with electronic warfare support, with lethal aid.
On that point, Congressman, the Prime Minister Boris Johnson of the UK has now promised 120 armored vehicles and new anti-ship missile systems to the Ukraine. Do you think the United States needs to ratchet up the ante here as to the kinds of weapons we're sending to Ukraine? Are you talking about planes and tanks? Should we go that far at this point, given this new phase of the war?
The United States has sent well more than $1 billion worth of Stingers, of Javelins, of drones, of anti-armor and anti-air weapons. I've been in multiple classified briefings over the last month. I have seen no strong empirical evidence that there is any equipment that Ukraine needs, that they are trained to use, that the United States is not working to provide them.
So you don't think they need more S-300s or Patriot missile systems or more of these conventional wartime, that kind of equipment right now?
Ukraine has been clear that they absolutely need more weapons, and the United States has been clear that we are sending them.
Okay, it's been 4 to 6 days is what we're seeing in terms of the shipment, trying to get weapons there. Is that the kind of timeline we're still experiencing here? Do we expect that to, can we try to bring that timeline down? They're acting with a sense of urgency here. Obviously, the Russians could attack here in maybe a week's time, a month's time. Anything there in terms of how we can maybe bring that shipment time down?
I know that the administration is acting with a sense of urgency and that we are shipping this material over the Polish border as quickly as possible to get the Ukrainians the weapons that they need to repel this invasion. And any weapon, whether it's technically offensive or defensive, is in my eyes a defensive weapon when you are defending your homeland against a barbaric invasion. And I've got confidence that the Biden administration is not withholding a single bullet that the Ukrainians could use in their fight.
Okay, Democratic Representative Jake Auchincloss, thank you so much for spending your Saturday afternoon with us. Thank you.
The best of the best. Army Rangers taking part in a grueling 3-day test of skill and stamina. We're live at Fort Benning, Georgia. Coming up next.
The White House briefing room has always been where reporters ask critical questions about homeland security, global instability, our devaluing dollar, and so much more. Hi, I'm William Devane. And over the years, the answers that may come out of this room can